Hello! So as you know, this week we're talking about our favorite books and I'm really excited about it because I love reading and I was the kind of kid who used to stay up way too late under the covers reading with a flashlight. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you about some of my favorite childhood books and some of my favorite current books. So probably the first collection of books that got me really hooked and into reading was The Famous Five by Enid Blyton. I hope I said that right. And I don't have any of those here at the moment, but I was obsessed with those books. They're about these five kids who just go on crazy adventures and I really like them. Then I got really into this collection of books that is just about animals. There's not really much to it. I also really like this collection of books by R.L. Stine. They're supposed to be horror books. They're not that scary, but I really like them. Then I got really into Harry Potter. I was obsessed with those books. And I grew up with Harry Potter. I grew up as they grew up, so it's a big part of my life. And I remember being in school and some other kids were as obsessed with Harry Potter as I was, and I remember that during recess we would go to a little corner of the playground and have a little common room and play with little sticks as if they were our wands and cast spells, and we had a password to get into the common room because of course we were all in the Gryffindor common room, because when you're a kid you always want to be a Gryffindor. I don't know why. I don't have any of the Harry Potter books here, but I do have Sirius Black's one. He's probably my favorite character. So yeah, and my favorite book is probably The Prisoner of Azkaban, and also my favorite movie. Then I think I was already in high school. I got really into this Spanish author called Laura Gallego, who writes young adult sort of fantasy books, and I still love them very much. I don't have them here. But there's this trilogy called Memorias de Dune, which hasn't been translated to English, which is crazy. It has been translated to many other languages, and they've been selling very well, so why don't you translate them to English? Anyway, I really like those books. Another one of my favorite authors is also Spanish. He's called Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which is the one that Bea talked about. He wrote Marina. My favorite book by him is probably La Sombra del Viento, The Shadow of the Wind, probably. And I don't have it here. I don't know where it is. I do have it. This is like the second part called El Juego del Ángel. It's not really a continuation of La Sombra del Viento, but they're related stories. And it's set in Barcelona after the Civil War, I believe. And there's this library called El Cementerio de los Libros Olvidados, which is something like the graveyard of forgotten books. And basically, when someone enters that place, which not a lot of people know about, you have to get a book and keep it from dying. You have to keep it from being forgotten. And I just really like that concept. And a lot of crazy things happen, and I just really like it. Another one of my favorite collections is The Southern Vampire Mysteries, which is the collection of books that True Blood is based on. I just think they're really good. I love vampire stories, so yeah, I'm a bit obsessed with this. And of course, Anne Rice. I really love vampire stories, so Anne Rice is like the queen of vampire stories. This isn't my favorite book by her, but it's the only one I own. But my favorites are the ones from Vampire Chronicles. They're really good. Then there's probably The Catcher in the Rye, which I had to read for class, for an English class. And I never read any of our compulsory readings because I love reading, but I love reading under my own terms. I love reading when I want to read, what I want to read. But we were gonna have an exam and I told a friend, can I borrow your copy so that I don't completely fail the exam? She lent it to me and I was hooked within like 2 pages, and I actually bought my own copy a couple of years after that. Then The Fault in Our Stars, which I actually read thanks to Alba. Thank you. She kept talking about the book and about John Green, and I found it. I actually found it in English in my tiny little city in the north of Spain, and it's also a signed copy by J. Scribble. Yeah. And yeah, so I bought it, I read it, and it's really, really good. And finally, the last book I want to talk to you about is The Name of the Wind. At first, it took me a while to get into it because there were a lot of words that I hadn't read before in English, so it took me a while to get into the story. But like 10 pages into it, I was already hooked, and I read it really fast, and the second part as well. It's really good. It's set in this magical world. They tell you the story of Quoth, which is sort of a hero. You don't know really if it's a hero. It's really, really good. And something that I really like about this book is how the author talks about music, about making music, because the main character plays music, and the way he describes that is fucking amazing. I was so sure that the author was a musician himself. He isn't. I was very surprised to see that. And everyone in interviews asks him about that because they all think he's a musician because he conveys the feeling of playing an instrument so fucking well. I don't even know. Okay, so that was very, very general. I'm sorry about the lack of books to show you. Yeah, I've probably forgotten some of my favorite ones because I have the worst memory ever. But I hope you enjoy that. Bye.